That's too damn bad!
JJK is a series that is finally coming to its conclusion, so I decided to get some JJK YouTubers together to talk about what we all hated about Jujutsu Kaisen. It goes without saying we are all of course huge fans of the series, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. I mean, no series is, besides Dead Man Wonderland, obviously. But for this video, we have the homies Eternal Flame.
Ain't no way man just compared Kusakabe to Itachi.
Jaded.
You gotta bleep this out. Yuta is a fraud. He sucks.
And Orion.
Speaking of useless characters, Kusakabe sucks.
Talking about what specifically about JJK we don't like or actively hate. Bear in mind, this pretty much ended up just being long as Let's get started with me talking about how I hate a certain character. What do we feel about Hannah and Angel? And in turn, Jacob's Ladder. The reason I despise Hannah, Angel... Despise...
Ain't that serious, bro. It's just a manga.
The reason I hate, despise, she makes me physically f***ing ill. Hannah, Angel, and Jacob's Ladder. We have the dropped plot point of the Fallen One as a result. We also have the inefficacy of Jacob's Ladder as a technique. We have the fact that due to Jacob's Ladder, we don't get Miguel coming back as Ellie or a plot thread with the missing piece of the inverted spear of heaven, because we do know it's like a three-pronged spearhead initially. The fact that her backstory with Megumi felt contrived just so she could be taken off guard by Meguna. And I feel like her design, her being an angel, feels like there's nothing expanded upon it. Like, why is she an angel? Literally, why?
Well, you didn't like that one panel of her doing like the Jesus pose or whatever, the God pose?
Well, you don't like that Angel makes God canon to JJK?
Yeah, but if God's canon is like the devil canon, like I don't, like it doesn't, it opens up a bunch of questions with no answers. So how do you feel about Hannah?
So, I don't really care about Hannah, they just, like, exist in my head. Like, I don't really have that much of a problem with Jacob's Ladder, but that's because my interpretation of it was always different from a lot of the fandom, because I always thought Jacob's Ladder was like a power-based thing, where the stronger the opponent, the less and less effective it is on a person, and it's clearly been shown that that was the consistent way, and actually the way it's meant to be shown, which is why people are calling it a plot hole, because they don't understand how the power works, when in reality, it's based on power.
I mean...
Okay, based?
I
Josh.
I wouldn't go that. Hey, slow down. I don't know if I agree with that, simply due to the fact that even when Yuta uses it as a maximum technique, it does virtually nothing.
Sukuna's just that strong. Yeah, they didn't want to kill Megumi too. Right now they were still like stuck together, so if Yuta used it like tried and continued to use it to kill them, it would have killed Megumi too, which wasn't their goal at all.
Even if you take that away, Jacob's Ladder is like the lesser part of her that I hate. It's mainly the contrivance of her backstory and her ability as a plot device, in the sense that as soon as Gojo gets sealed, it is revealed as a Culling Games player who can undo it. It's too contrived.
Oh, that I agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have no problems there. She is more plot device than she is character. Like, she always has been more plot device than she is character. Her entire purpose, her entire contribution to the series is literally being responsible for why Sukuna could take Megumi's body, as well as bringing Gojo back. That's all she's done.
I mean, I'm not a fan of one-off characters in general. I don't like... Okay, I say that, but like Mio and Daido are like cool as shit. But at the same time, I feel like you can write them out of the story and nothing really changes. Like, you can work around it. So Hannah and Angel just existing, kind of, they don't do anything. Like, they have actively hurt the story more than they've, I think, done anything to make it better.
No, that's based.
So I'm just not a fan.
That's correct. Now, Jaded, how do you feel?
I don't mind her in all honesty. I think that she definitely is more plot device than character, but her device has been used, served, you know what I mean? Gojo's out the box and everything, blah, blah. I think they definitely tried to give her a bigger role now that they're trying to separate vessels and all that, but they found another way to use that device to Yuji, so I mean, I'm not too bothered by it in all honesty. The only thing I really don't like, the Angel plotline. I feel like that was going somewhere. I feel like there's potential lore that could be dived into and all that, but with 4 chapters left, I really don't think they are going to do that.
And behold why we need a JJK prequel manga to see more about the past of Sukuna.
That's right, the Kusakabe story,
True.
The movie. It's right, it's happening.
How the fuck would Kusakabe... Speaking of, by the way,
Hey,
here's the one. I got one.
I don't like where this is going.
Speaking of useless characters,
You fucking
I
suck.
think Kusakabe fucking sucks.
Oh, so here we go. We could get started on that.
Hold up,
Oh,
no. Hold up.
No, we're off the Angel point. Everyone said their points, so let the conflict begin. Let the wars begin.
I feel like I'm about to get fucking dogpiled here, and it'll be like the poster for Doom. I'll fight yous all. I'll go for it. Why do you hate Kusakabe? Explain it to me.
No, I don't. I'm just fucking with you.
Damn fucking straight. No one hates him. He's a king.
So, Jade, you want to say your opinion on Kusakabe?
So Kusakabe, here's what I think about Kusakabe. Kusakabe served a great role as being this guy where everybody was like, why the hell does he know so much? To being a guy who actually does know a lot about one thing. So he is very great in that way. I think he definitely served his purpose as the narrator and all that blah blah. But the one thing that I really wanted to see more of Kusakabe is nothing. I don't know why Josh wants to see more of this random guy. I have
Because
no
there's
idea
questions to be asked. Why the
There
fuck?
are no, there's literally none.
How is his sister a grade 1 and we've never seen her before?
Does it really matter though?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
It's a point we'll get onto later, but grade 1s are like more of a big deal than the series like makes out. Yet despite that fact, she's just like a big question mark. It's a whole other story, right? I still feel there's plenty to talk about regarding Kusakabe, right? You might disagree, right? This is not like this is an opinionated thing, but you're incorrect. I mean,
I think it's a 3-1 against you, so technically we're the
No,
ones
no,
that
no.
are fair.
I'm on. What are you saying? I like Kusakabe.
damn straight.
I'm kind of the midpoint where I like him, but I also don't really care to know more about him.
I'm fine with that. I'm just in the opposite camp of like he needs more, bro. He needs his own series. You know, like Itachi got them Shinden novels. Give me more, though.
Ain't no way man's just compared Kusakabe to Itachi.
Yo,
Bro,
they've-
if we get a
Did-
fucking Kusakabe side story instead of anything like Heian era, I will
did you
off
know
myself.
Kusakabe, 4 years old, had the intelligence of a Kage? You didn't know that, did you? Who wants an actual point? Something that they actually hate?
Me. Here's the thing, right? Can JJK rectify this? Sure, to some extent, but will we ever get enough merger content in these last 4 chapters? Definitely not. Gege cannot give us enough merger content in 4 chapters for what the merger is supposed to do. Like, you'll find throughout stories that a common trope and narrative device is having this, like, time bomb that ticks for our main characters and protagonists to kind of, like, solve, right? Now, the merger in JJK is supposed to be that thing, right? The goal isn't to necessarily beat Sukuna. The overall goal is to stop the merger, right? And it's this big thing that the characters are supposed to work to stop, but it's almost like, I don't want to say forgotten, but it's almost just not referenced at all. We don't really get much of it. It's something that Kenjaku lived for, that Kenjaku is now dead for. And for me, for that character to be paid off, we would need more from this merger. Like, why not just have the main threat be Sukuna and just Sukuna and let Sukuna do what he wants if our main characters don't come out on top at the end? Compared to having this, like, random merger that's almost really never seen or talked about really ever.
Okay, I have an opinion on that one. So, like, this really depends on what the merger ultimately does, because I'm in the camp where I don't think the merger is actually going to be a threat to everybody. I think it's going to be a good thing, like, I think it's going to get rid of curse energy. That's at least what I think is going to happen with the merger. Because, like, we don't know enough about the curse, or, like, the merger, how it functions. Because Kenjaku doesn't even know what it is. He wants to see it because he's bored and curious. Like, they can really do anything with the merger. And while it's, like, treated as a threat, we have no idea what it will do yet. Sukuna might activate it, like, a moment before he dies. Megami might activate it as well. We have no idea yet. It might never activate. And if it doesn't activate, I agree with you on the time bomb point. But, like, we don't know what it does.
If Megami activates it, their hate will go through the roof. People are
Oh, yeah,
people annoyed him for mourning the death of his family. Imagine what he does if he ends the series. Holy shit.
Ends the series, and that's what Gege considers a satisfying ending to himself.
He says he'll make a chapter that he thinks most people will be satisfied with. I don't think it will be. I agree. There's not enough time for the merger. There's not enough time for everything. That's why the reveal of the, like, 5 chapters left thing was such a big shock to everyone. Not just because it's scary for our channels, but virtue of the fact that the narrative will really struggle without more time. At least, as a whole. The narrative regarding Yuji and Sukuna could probably be tied up very soundly in these next 3-4 chapters, right? But yeah, the merger, everyone's got like theories. What if it's humanoid? Like the disaster cases. What if it's blah blah blah? What, as you say, if it gets rid of curse energy, whatever. We don't know. There's not enough time for it, and yeah, I agree with that. It sucks. You got anything,
What
Orion?
about you, Orion?
Me?
Yeah.
Skip?
Fair enough.
Is that an option?
I have something to bring up,
Oh, go for it.
which I'm excited to bring up. Toto's return. I don't like it for one very, very big reason. Toto had so many more moments. He could have been useful and saved everyone. Because, like, I know it took time. Like, I know we had to help with the, what's called again, Yuta plan for taking out Kenjaku, which is why he wouldn't have been able to be helpful for the Higuruma plan, which is, like, the main place I think Toto would be more helpful. Now, I think they wasted their resources by sending Toto to Yuta to take out Kenjaku instead, but that's for another day. I think Toto should have been, like, more active. Like, I get that they were saving him to get rid of Sukuna's domain, but he would have been more useful at some other points in the fight, in my opinion, than when he actually showed up.
I think you can say like the exact same thing, but with Nobara. Like you could have used resonance at any time during the fight. You could have saved Higuruma. Like there was a bunch of times in that fight where, yes, the whole gimmick.
Oh yeah, the same does apply to Nobara's
Yeah.
return too. I was just saving that for a separate topic because
you're just annoyed at
that.
Nobara in a whole. We'll get to that in a bit. But
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel it's as bad with Todo because like when he does show up, he does save everyone from MS. You know.
Exactly. Other than Shoso.
So granted, well, what the fuck was he supposed to do with that? Like it was still gonna be aimed
No,
at
I'm
someone.
convinced it was intentional. Todo could sense that Shoso was his brother. He wanted to be the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
That is another point to bring up at some point, just the lack of character interactions, bro. Chozo and Todo never meeting is criminal. How do you feel about Todo's comeback?
I mean, I was hyped as fuck, I'm gonna be honest. So, like, even if it's not the most, I guess, sound decision, dude, it just
Oh, yeah, it
activated
was
something in my brain, seeing Todo. So I'm willing to overlook everything.
Same here. That's why I'm not as critical of it. It's like, it was a bad move, but at the same time, it was hype, and that's all we need.
I feel like that weakness of JJK's plot we'll feel it a lot more once it's done, and you look at it like overall. When it's week to week, we're all just kind of caught up in the hype a bit. But when you like look at the Shinjuku Showdown as like a singular arc instead of this week to week slog,
That's kind of how JJK is written. It is
Yeah.
written as week to week manga, which I think is like 98% of the issues, in my opinion, for JJK stem from the fact it's written as like a week to week manga.
how do
I
you
actually
you
think it'll
do?
get better when you fucking read it start to finish again. I think a lot of the issues will be like completely gone. Because right now the week to week is the most brutal part about it.
True.
How do you feel about Todo's comeback, Jaded? You just kind of lurking in the back.
I just don't mind it. To be honest, like it is what it is. Was I expecting it? No. Am I happy with it? I don't really care all too much. We definitely did need to see Todo before the end of the series. But in my opinion, I think, again, they could have brought him back sooner. And not even because they could have brought him back sooner because he could have helped in other situations, but they could have brought him back sooner because, like, I don't know, what the hell took him so long to recover? You know how long
Yeah.
it's been?
That reminds me of another issue I have with Todo returning. Because the reason they had Todo take so long to return, because like they didn't want to risk Sukuna knowing about Todo, right? That I feel is extremely out of character because it implies that Todo had no faith at all that Yuji would be able to hold Sukuna down.
I mean, to be fair, it is the fucking goat of the verse they're up against. I don't
Yeah.
really mind stuff like that. Because, like, if Giga's tried to portray Sukuna as, like, the strongest in the series, I feel like he's done a good enough job by doing stuff like this.
Oh, 100%. He's definitely done it.
Because if you don't take him seriously, then it's like the fraud memes become reality.
I mean, he has run the gauntlet, you know. Mine kind of links into Todo's as well, to be honest. And it's just the lack of clarification after battles. So, say for example, after the battle between the three-way deadlock, we find out what happens to Ryu. Obviously, he's a fucking moron and dies real quick. But what happened to Yuro? What happened to Charles after the fight with Akari? Most people thought Todo was dead. I did, right? Okay, I didn't expect him a mega comeback. I know they had the line with LaRue and shit, but like, we didn't get. I feel after a lot of character, not their deaths. Well, that's another point. But after a lot of character fights, we don't know what happens to them.
Yeah, where's my goat, Mio, and Dido, bro?
Exactly.
Maki
Where'd
says that
Uro go?
they're like dying, but they're fine, and then that's the last we hear of them. We haven't even seen anything from them. At least we saw Charles.
Yeah, Charles is chilling. He just let Yuta take one of his ribs.
I'm still surprised they didn't even have Dido and Mio involved in the final fight because like they aren't weak.
Oh,
like
no.
if you're having Ino be involved, then you bring these two guys in.
Like, they can hit Naoya, which is like a big deal. Like, they are hitting Chaos Naoya. And Dido can like perceive the soul, kind of. He can like perceive everything else so intently and see the soul. It's really weird. But like, they're like not fodders. Like, they are Culling Games players.
Is it Mio or Dido? Which one's the sumo guy?
Mio.
Mio.
Mio can like sumo wrestle Maki for like 1,000 times.
Yeah. Like, that's...
So yeah, why are they
wonder-
not here?
I wonder if he like popped a simple domain in front of Sukuna, if Sukuna would accept it, and they go wrestle.
He definitely would.
Bro, he's got
This
four
is
arms.
what we're talking about.
4 arms, 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
But like, what if Mio won though?
He'd win like a round, be like, you don't know about sumo, and then it would just be 999 to 1. Just to
No,
Sukuna.
Sukuna would keep going until he wins.
And then he would keep winning. You have to, what was it? You have to just have so many rounds. I don't think it matters who wins or loses. You just have to have so many.
The person has to consent to doing the wrestling. That's it.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah,
like,
but for everything to end.
yeah.
I think the other person just has to win, no? Because like Maki's like losing the entire time, and it's only when she wins.
No,
that
Maki.
the
No,
team
it's just
goes.
they can leave whenever they want. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like hyperbolic time chamber. That's what a lot of people thought when Yuta and Yuji said like they cheated. Like a lot of people thought maybe the prison realm was involved, or maybe Mio like sumo wrestled them to like buff their stats a bit. Since like how else would you cheat? We know a little bit more about that now with like Yuji's fingers and stuff. But you know, no mention of that.
That's a good way to segue into one of my issues I have with this.
What?
Gege's usage of flashbacks in the Shinjuku showdown, because there were so many because he just decided to time skip and show everything they did through flashbacks rather than actually going through with the time skip. Because there were some parts I feel should have been kept secret. For example, the entire discussion for Yuta taking Gojo's body. That should be kept secret. But I feel we should have known how they did the training at the least. Because like, what does that affect?
I mean,
True.
we know Yuji got simple domain from it, but that's like literally it.
I mean, more so like, what does us knowing it earlier affect?
More exposition to understand what the fuck it actually means. Granted, you could argue it's good to keep it a secret, so like we know less about Uyui's ability, I guess, before like Sukuna brings it up, or even still, I don't know.
Uyui barely does anything in this fight either, so...
Nah. Uyui's the goat from this fight. What do you mean? He's like...
Fair point.
He's mega support.
Well, like, that is fair. He teleports everybody away.
Gets
but,
Gojo's
like,
corpse, so Yuta
yeah.
can get stuck in that. Like, he's going on grabbing bits and pieces of people. He tries to save the Goku Zakabe, but then Miguel has to show up and do it for him. But, you know. Let's talk about the meme argument. Fuck it. Let's talk about the meme thing that everyone brings up that I brought up before I fucking started recording. About the world building in JJK. Because a lot of people just kind of say the sentence that they hate JJK's world building and they don't know what it means, because everyone compliments One Piece's world building, as they should, because it's dope. But it's people just take the example from One Piece that the world building is great and assume it's just from the varied locales that they go to. And with like the recent, I think, art expo from Gege and like the Q&As and stuff, he said, I think in the perfect prep of the Culling Games, we were supposed to go into the mountains or something. So a lot of people were annoyed that we didn't get more varied locales there. The problem with the world buildings, like, isn't just strictly the locales. I feel like we see plenty of locations. Granted, it's mainly just cities and shit, but we also get like inside Tengen's realm and shit like that. The problem I have is the only things we know about the Jujutsu world is literally just stuff we see. And as I said again before we recorded, like in JJK Zero, like the movie, not the manga, because we don't see much of the Night Parade in the manga. We see Nanami save a bunch of nameless fodder students from Jujutsu Tech, right? Who don't even seemingly have cast techniques, which is like seemingly like probably the most common property like sorcerers have, since as it's stated, grade 3 is like around the average common grade for sorcerers, right? And they're all getting destroyed by like fodder curses, and Nanami saves all of them. But the way Nanami is portrayed in this scene is that he's like Master Chief. Like everyone recognized him. They're glad that he's shown up because he can save them. Which it makes the question of, okay, is Nanami like a huge deal in the sorcerer world because he's a grade 1? Or is he just a known figure? Like, if he's a known figure, that's a big deal. How come it's never brought up? Like, to us, he just seems like an average sorcerer. But these random fodders, like, Nanami's not a teacher, yet these random fodders recognize him. Why? By name. And you also have, like, stuff in the Gojo clan that's never explained except in a recent Q&As. How do you feel about JJK's world building?
Can I start?
Please.
All right. So the first issue, the location thing, it's been well established in the JJK story that there aren't really sorcerers that exist outside of Japan. To travel outside of Japan and for that to be the world building complaint, to say, oh, because we're only really in Japan or these very few specific places that we see sorcerers, it's because it's exactly what it sounds like. There's very few specific places that even have sorcerers to begin with. There's not much going on anywhere else.
I would still argue that, though. Because we still know Miguel comes from like his descendants created the black rope, which in turn meant they were sorcerers. And as I said in the fucking Jeopardy quiz ages ago, Momo's dad's also an American descended sorcerer. So there's another world building thing. How the fuck are there sorcerers outside of Tengen's barrier? So there could be other places to go to. I'm not arguing for it. I think the locale argument is a dumb argument, but I'm just saying you could potentially say that why don't they go to these other locations where non-Japanese sorcerers are, like during perfect prep.
So to me, that just more sounds like a lack of a filler problem. Like it wouldn't really necessarily be like world building. Like when we say like world building, to me, it's like places that will definitely serve of great importance maybe like later on. Like I would really not appreciate like useless world building, you know what I mean? I feel like that'd be more of like you need more filler argument, you know what I mean? Because JJK definitely does have a lack of filler. For sure.
What do you mean by useless world building?
Like, if there's not much going on outside of Japan, right? then it's like, okay, we go there, right? We get that exposition that we've been looking for and we've been wanting, but it's not going to serve as anything in the future. Like I don't think that there's nothing going on outside of there that we can look towards that would portray a bigger narrative role in the end.
I disagree with that in the sense that, like, specifically, it means that, you know, there could possibly be even more sorcerers and curse users outside of Japan. And if we got a reasons for that, like, if we find out why outside of Tengen's barriers, like, people can use cursed energy, it may lead to, like, I don't know, JJK World, where they're going all over trying to find sorcerers and curse users. Like,
I mean, that might need to be like a different story entirely. Than,
yeah,
because, like,
but that's what I'm
it
saying.
It doesn't relate at all to the main JJK story, which I kind of agree with. What I think needs to be expanded more on, for example, is the big three clans, because those are rather important, especially the Kamo clan has become something that I feel needs to be expanded on, especially because our main character is related to it, as well as his brother is related to it, and the the planner of the series is related to it.
Oof. Slide
Yeah.
this on Kenjaku, that's rough. I mean, I'd still say it's more arguable for the Gojo clan, to be honest. I'd want to see more from the Gojo clan than the Kamo clan, because we've at least seen Kamo clan members besides Narutoshi Kamo, like the younger one.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, we have. We've seen Narutoshi Kamo, the old school one. We've seen Narutoshi Kamo's mother. We've seen Narutoshi Kamo, like the servant that recognizes Kenjaku. We've seen like a couple members of the actual clan. Not necessarily blood manipulators, but like members of the clan. What I'm saying is, overall, we've got more about the Kamo clan and know more about that than the Gojo clan, which is like, you know, Gojo is kind of like changes the world just with his birth, because him being born from that clan is such a big deal. Yet we know, like, he won the genetic lottery from that clan, yet despite the fact we know literally nothing about it, except from Q&As from Gege, which I think is stupid.
I mean, I'm sort of more fine with this purely because, like, the Gojo clan, in my opinion, doesn't have that. Like, I get that, the Gojo clan is what made Gojo, but I don't think it has as much importance to the narrative overall in comparison to something like the Kamo clan would, or the Zenin clan. Well, we know enough of the Zenin clan, but,
Yeah.
like, the thing is with me and the Gojo clan is, Gojo's clan does not matter at all to him. But it's like there was one point we could see the Gojo clan I wish we could see it in, is like during Hidden Inventory. I wish we could see a bit of the Gojo clan during that arc, but other than that, I don't see it mattering that much, which is going to be getting some people mad in your comments, so have fun with that.
No, I mean, it just annoys me so much when I see like those shitty AI images of like Gojo's mother, Gojo's father, and there's people replying in the comments being like, oh my god, this is in the manga. It's like, no, people just making shitty AI images because the Gojo clan doesn't exist outside of Gojo pretty much. But anyway, how do you feel about it, Orion, about the world building? Oh, Jaded, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm kind of like with Jaded. I feel like if you're gonna introduce random shit that's like mentioned once, it's like I feel like it's a waste of time, given how short JJK is already. But if you're gonna introduce the stuff that he has introduced, so the clans, some of the stuff from the Heian era, like we see a flashback with Yorozu and Sukuna, all this other stuff. If you're gonna at least like introduce it, I would expect some level of just delving one step deeper. I don't need like a 30 chapter arc. Just a little bit of fluff would be nice. I don't think it needs that much. Like, we don't need full-on arcs where they're going to Elbaf to I don't know, do some shit. We just don't need that for JJK. It's not that kind of story.
Nah, I feel like since I'm like doing all the light novels and shit, I'm like the exact opposite to you, where I want that, you know, that like Hunter meme where it's entirely words. I'd be fine with that if it just explained, you know, the Gojo clan and like, I'd just be fine with that.
I mean, I'd be fine with that too. I'd like that, but I wouldn't want it to be part of the main manga. Like, I'd want side stories and side mangas about it. That's what I think, in my opinion, is on that.
Nah, I just feel like there's plenty of places you could have put it. Like, you could have explained.
That's why you should watch Josh's videos on the light novels.
Holy shit, smooth.
You're welcome for the plug.
Hell yeah.
Your own video.
But yeah, as I'm saying, like, I feel like there was plenty of times to expound a bit of exposition about the clans. Like, for example, for Miguel, when like Miguel shows, not necessarily when he shows back up, because, you know, since it's a weekly series, you don't want to find out like immediately, but like, you know, literally when Yuta brings up the black rope in Africa, no one questions the fact that there's sorcerers in Africa, right? I know they're explaining the whole concept of the culling games, but like a single line or two being like, oh yeah, there's a few sorcerers outside of Japan because blah blah blah, my barrier is a bit shit. Like Tengen says something like that. That would be so fine, and that would plant seeds for maybe something later on if there ever was a sequel manga. Like, that would be perfect. But we don't get that. We don't get, as you say, hidden inventory stuff. We don't get like a general explanation of how most cursed tools are made, which is, I
You want
want
me
to
to
know
add
that.
more fuel to that problem?
What?
Sukuna's existence and all they know about Sukuna, like Sukuna being a 1 in a million type vessel thing, implies A, there have been vessels in the past like Sukuna, and B, there have been at least one Sukuna vessel because they know it's 1 in a million chance of someone surviving.
I doubt we'll ever find anything out about it.
Was that not a mistranslation?
Is that John
no,
Weary?
No, John Weary wasn't translating them, but
I mean, even if it was, it's like Megami implies there's some chance of someone surviving, which means it has to have happened before. Because like everyone's died from it, Megami wouldn't have said that.
I get what you're saying. I mean, overall, I just feel like there's missing info in places where there could be more. Like, as I say, I'm fine with that Hunter x Hunter page of text. I'm fine with that if it explained, like, for example, like, as I say, we know more about the Zenin. It's not just the 3 clans, it's just Jujutsu Tech as a whole. We don't see any other students besides the 2 classes. Think about that. It's an entire school, 2 schools, yet there's 2 classes, and there's supposedly, like, a bunch of sorcerers. It's supposed to be this society hidden with, like, connections to the police and stuff like that, yet there's only, like, 16 students in, like, a massive, like, school building. Like, are you for real? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I guess we get a tiny bit more in Phantom Parade. There's 2 more students. I don't even remember their names because it's not coming global yet, but, like, there's not enough. The world is empty outside of the narrative we're shown. That's my main issue. There's not enough background characters. There's not enough going on in our periphery from the main narrative.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't actually have an issue with that either. Purely because of what JJK is. JJK is not made to be an expansive story that you're supposed to go in depth with the world. JJK is, like, 2 main stories, debatably. The main story between Yuji, Sukuna, and Megami. Everything in JJK happens because of those 3 characters. And then the story of Gojo, of course, is also part of it too. But like the main 3 things that are important to JJK and what dictates its story and guides it all is Yuji, Megami, and like Sukuna. That is what JJK is about.
I know, I understand that. I'm not disagreeing, but it's just, I feel like there needs to be something just like visually in the background. Like we never see, like there's multiple teachers and students that have to exist that we've never met. Like fucking Usami, a grade 1, as I said earlier. It's fucking ridiculous. We only have like 5, 6 grade 1s and one of them's unknown. Like there's not enough, we have more than enough side characters, but we don't have enough nameless fodder. Like genuinely. I don't want it to be a Dynasty Warriors game or anything, but we still need like something in the background. No, maybe that's just me, as I say.
I mean, fair. I disagree with that, but fair. What about you guys?
Well, okay. Would I like to see more people from the past? Yes. But is JJK a story about the new generation in the future? Of course it is. The past isn't really all too relevant. It would be cool to see Sukuna and everything, but it's not. It's just not relevant. Like the story and theme, and you could see the overall lesson of JJK is moving away from the way the world works and the way it's been built on to build your own ideology and philosophy, right? That at the end of the day is really like the core message of JJK. That's like, if you put your mind to it and you put yourself first, you can achieve anything despite how the world already is. So it's like, to make an argument that we need to go dive back into people from the past when it's a story about the future, it would honestly feel kind of redundant. But for a sequel, I think it would be very enjoyable. If JJK is the story about how we shape the world despite how it already is, I would want a story on how the world became that way to begin with. That would be a much better sequel or prequel, obviously. I meant prequel, but it's just not something that's all too relevant, which is why I don't think it's important.
You got anything, Orion?
I said my piece.
Fair enough. I mean, to me, it's just like, when I think about it in regards to world building, you have that scene where Yuji says he's just a cog, right, in the Jujutsu system. But I still feel we don't know enough about the system itself to, like, just generally, we don't know enough about the Jujutsu system and the people who are within it, besides what we see. But as I say, the narrative isn't focused on fodder number 14 who, looked at Yuji at Jujutsu Tech, but even still, it'd be nice if he was there. Does anyone have any other points?
Yeah, I got another point.
Go for it.
So let's talk about domain. I honestly think that this is the most underutilized aspect of the unique part of the JJK power system. The only real domain clashes that we ever get to see happen in the final arc of the series, and it's between just Gojo and Sukuna, and their domain clash isn't even traditional. I'm not saying that because it's not traditional, it's not entertaining, it's not interesting. If anything, it made it more interesting, but to go the entire series, right, to have the hallmark of JJK's power system being domain, the thing that's the most unique about it, never really utilized ever, is kind of crazy. like Gojo and Sukuna definitely gave us like enough exposition. Like I'm definitely satisfied, but I want to see more of it. Like how do we have so many high level sorcerers who are just not domain clashes are probably the coolest thing to me, and we're ending the series with only seeing real two people, about really two people ever have an actual domain clash, and it's not even traditional.
Yeah, Gege kind of fucked it by making it the height of Jujutsu, and then when even the like old style domains that are not as lethal, so they're easier. Like even then, he still just decided I don't want to include that many clashes, which is a little weird.
Want me to make this funnier?
Go for it.
Domain expansions have only killed 2 characters that are named in the entire series. Those 2 characters being the finger bearers. That is all Domain has killed.
Do you think that's his name? I didn't. That's fucked up. Finger Barrow 2 was his name on his birth certificate. That's fucked up.
Exactly.
Wait, you count Maharaga in that too?
Maharaga wasn't killed by the domain. Sukuni is the fire arrow. That's not part of his domain.
Yeah, but like the big boom boom is a byproduct of the domain.
I mean, still not the domain itself.
I feel like you're splitting hairs at that
The
point, bro.
slashes.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm trying to give
Trying to give the domain
Gege-
some credit because they only killed like 2 people.
I mean, the
Maybe
closest it gets is like with Gojo ripping Jogo's head off, but even still, like you could have had a cool domain clash where Jogo just said, "Ah, no, I'm too scared. You'll win anyway." That was such a shame. Oh, I never really thought about that too much. But when you like look at how many is actually happening, that shit's just sad.
More people who use their domain have actually lost fights than they have taken and won.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem if you're making it the ultimate move that like almost guarantees victory, because then like you have to write around the move not guaranteeing victory if the enemy has it, for example.
It's also why I'm like 99% of like 90% of the time when I see a domain, I'm like, okay, that character is going to lose unless your name is Megumi Fushiguro. He's the only one who's used their domain and actually won a fight. Well, actually, Sukuna too, which is in Megumi's body.
So by proxy. You got anything else to add? Because I got another little point. Now I'm curious to see what you think about.
Wait, I got one.
Okay.
Okay, you go first.
It's not Dagon, it's Dagon. How about that?
Shut the. It's Dagon. It's from a H.P. Lovecraft story.
That thing is doggone, bro.
It's Dagon.
Thank you.
Fuck you too. Dagon. Making fun of Kusakabe and Dagon's pronunciation. I feel like you're coming after me. It feels like an attack.
I've got a few more in me, don't worry.
Right then. What were you gonna say, Jaded?
Now here's the other part about why I feel like domains are very underutilized, right? One, obviously the thing in my opinion that really makes JJK so much more different from other shonen is like it's the idea that no matter who you are, good or evil, if you find your way to live your truth and to go about it in a way that changes the world, you're gonna be insanely strong. Like every single known special grade besides really Yuta has their way of like changing the world. Like Geto wants to obviously get rid of non-sorcerers. Yuki wants to get rid of cursed energy. Gojo wants to change the entire political system itself. And it's like domain expansions to me are like the clearest manifestation of that. It's like bringing your own world and changing everything around you. This is that, blah blah. And it's like if you're like Sukuna and you do it the best, then it's like you don't even need to do it synthetically. You can actually just make an entire new creation that's never existed before. And then it's like even then, that narrative purpose, that narrative uniqueness about domain expansions is also never really utilized in the end. Like it's so disappointing.
I love how you brought up Geto and Yuki, one who doesn't have one and one who didn't use it.
Oh lord.
Yeah, like I feel like there's also too many like Hanami. Yes, she has one in Phantom Parade, but it's like we never see it in the main series. We never saw Yuro's Yuro. We never saw, because there's like a few domains that we know exist, but we just never got to see them. Like, despite the fact they are the height of Jujutsu as stated by Kenjaku. It's a shame. Has anyone got anything else? Because I got another one.
Go for it, Video Man.
Hell yeah. How do you feel about the inverse passage of time in regard to the fact that the entire narrative that we see from like Yuji's POV has been over the course of about under a year?
9 months to be specific.
There you go.
I don't mind.
Really?
I'm not surprised. Keep in mind, the entire story of like Naruto Shippuden, for example, is 1 year, if not less.
It's just, I have this issue with like a lot of shonen where it's like, you've knew the people around you for less than a month, yet you're willing to die for them. Like, it's the worst in One Piece where like Zoro knew Luffy for like less than 6 months, but is still willing to wait 2 years for the time skip. Like, it feels like that, but like even worse so in JJK's case, because like Yuji just making friends with everyone along the way. That's like a sorcerer pretty much.
I mean, for me, not really much of a problem, mainly because in my opinion, like, friendship isn't really decided by time, it's decided by what they do in that time. But the other issue is, and this is an issue I have with Gege as a whole, they Gege doesn't flesh out the relationships with what we're shown enough for us to actually believe they would have this bond, other than like Yuji and Toto, because Toto's insane.
Like, genuinely fucking schizophrenic. That just calls back to the point of, like, Gege just not showing all their interactions that would have made the character dynamics so much more interesting. Like, Toto never mentioned Yuki a single time. Or has
I have one
yet
that
to.
especially hurts, which is Choso and Yuji.
You go.
I don't think they showed enough, because, like, Choso and Yuji, well, like, it was pretty, it was shown at the end that Yuji clearly cared about Choso as his brother. I don't think they showed enough of them bonding and relaxing, or, like, relaxing and stuff, and getting to know each other better.
I feel like you could say the same for Nanami and Gojo as well. Like,
Oh yeah, no, you could definitely say the same for Nami and Gojo, but the reason why that applies more specifically is because of Yuji's reaction at his literal brother dying, and like it feels somewhat hollow because of how like Gege didn't spend much time building it up.
And it annoys me the fact that since we didn't see that interaction, we also don't get the two converse about Kenjaku. Like, we see Chozo ask the question of, oh, did your dad have stitches on his forehead? And Yuji doesn't answer, and it just it's never brought up again.
Yuji never even thinks about the fact that he knows Kenjaku's his parent. He should know this. He never even thinks about it for a second, like, wait, Kenjaku might actually be my parent in some way, shape, or form.
It's just never expanded upon. It's just
Yep.
never mentioned. How do you two feel about that? Missing dynamics, I suppose. Missing interactions.
Speaking of Gojo and Nanami,
Right.
there's a light novel story that Joshinbetweener has covered in his most recent video.
When ironically it's wholesome. Like, this, the type of interactions you're talking about would usually be relegated to the light novels, but unfortunately the light novels only cover about, like, before Shibuya. Pretty much, like, even like before Goodwill, pretty much, is the mass majority of them. And as a result, like, we see like weird interactions, like, between Inumaki and Nobara. Interactions we would never see in the main series. And it comes down to, as well, like, the statement with Gojo being like, oh, I have to show off in front of my students. Motherfucker, you haven't interacted with any of them. We don't see him interact with Kirara, Hikari, like, any of them. Like, none of them interact at all.
Bro, I think the most Gojo has interacted with Hikari is him saying that in their most recent chapter, that they'll take a gamble, the fever or whatever. Like, I feel like that's the most that I've seen the two interact, and I guess Hikari got punched by Gojo at some point.
How do you feel about it, Jaded?
On one hand, I definitely do agree that short time doesn't necessarily necessitate a weak friendship or relationship. I think you could definitely build bonds in a short period of time. For sure, for sure. It's more so... Well, we didn't really have an explanation for it. It's like, okay, like Yuji's like a prodigy and stuff like that, blah, blah. But how the hell is this guy growing so quickly? And then we learned the whole muscle memory thing, blah, blah. So it's like, I think they definitely did tie that around pretty well. Because it's like, the guy goes from being a non-sorcerer, like a grade 3, maybe grade 2, to grade 1 in like, what, a couple weeks? Now, he's definitely a special grade, in my opinion.
How would he be special grade? He can't destroy a fucking... Think of the actual grading system. Don't just use it as, like, above grade 1.
I mean, Yuji can definitely just walk in there and go take over a country.
Yo, Yuji versus modern military video?
Where's Yuta versus World War II? I'm still waiting for that shit.
Oh, Lord, Yuta versus World War II.
What side do you think he was on?
I mean, he's Japanese.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if you want to be in that side.
Does anyone get any more points?
I got one. Kashima's a fucking bum.
Okay, we can talk about Kashimo.
I actually don't mind Kashima. I don't hate Kashima, but
How do you feel?
I can't believe there is no lines of dialogue exchanged between him and Gojo. Why?
agreed. Especially considering Kashima was like basically Gojo if he never awakened and just became an old man. That's kind of what
I feel
Kashima
like
was meant to be.
If he saw Gojo and it's like, oh, this guy's gonna fight Sukuna first, like he's like, hold on a minute. Why is this motherfucker fighting him first? I want to fight him. And then he like challenged Gojo or some shit. I don't know.
Now that I think about it, that probably just happened off screen because that's Kashima's entire character. Oh, someone strong, scrap. That's like his entire dynamic because, you know, wanting to chase down Sukuna. So he'll fight anyone strong in the meantime.
I feel like Kashima should have fought Sukuna first.
Yeah.
I fought Gojo on screen.
I just think you should have fought Gojo first. Or not Gojo first. Like, I think you should have fought Sukuna first. It would have been a good way to show like the full power of the Meguna form and what it could be capable of. Because you can't really do that against like Gojo because a lot of things won't bypass Infinity.
But then you don't get Kashima doing like getting him to use like 10 into his like Hey and Earth type form.
Just have Gojo do it instead, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't be mad if Gojo forced him to use it.
I don't know about him being in front of Gojo, but I still don't like the fact that, you know, the way he's talked about and discussed by Kenjaku and like the flashbacks we get with him, and then how ultimately his fight turns out. Not to mention the fact how the fuck he even understands his own curse technique. If it kills you, how the fuck would he know that without using it? Oh, it's innate, he just gets it. Yeah, sure, but like, even still, I still think that's stupid.
Probably past sorcerers who have used it before. Like the Gojo clan even has their handbook. We know that all the clans have a handbook for how they use their curse.
Well, then
Also, you
there's-
could all just write it like, Kaioken when Goku uses like the ×4 and then his body is entirely destroyed. Kachimo does it for like 2 minutes and then realizes, oh shit, if I do that for 3, I'm dead. And then says never
That could
again.
be it.
well,
So it
then,
doesn't seem to be like an instant death thing. It might be a thing you can just turn on and off.
if that's the case, why didn't he use it against Ikari, bro? That shit was embarrassing.
Because he wanted to use it on Sukuna.
Ain't that deep.
Yeah.
I'm
literally says that he won.
annoyed. Okay, it's something that annoys me. I'm pissed that Hikari actually won.
Hell no.
Because it
Hikari's a
doesn't-
fucking goat.
Because it doesn't feel like a win. He's a goat. What's he been doing for the past 60 chapters, bro? Shut up.
Stalling.
Balling. Doing what?
Stall merchant. What do you want from him?
I'm surprised no one's actually
mid.
brought that show. What the fuck has Hikari been doing? When was the last chapter he showed up in? Like non-flashback.
I think the Fuga one.
Yeah. We see him when they get Fugad.
They're saying Hikari died over there, by the way. Like that's like
Nah.
the latest Twitter
I don't think
rumor.
so.
Considering there's 4 chapters left, nah, he's not dead.
Twitter also thought Gojo was gonna RCT back, bro. Shut up.
Yeah, Twitter, yeah.
So anyone got nothing else to say on Kashimo?
I got something that relates to something similar to Kashimo.
Go over it.
So we got Kenjaku, right? This guy who for the last 1,000 years have been finding the most battle-hungry people, and he's been telling them like, yo, bro, I'm about to make this crazy-ass culling games, right? We're gonna have a ton of people from the past joining, and even Sukuna himself. And you're telling me he found one person who was actually interested in fighting Sukuna. And maybe him and Ryu. I'm sorry, him and Ryu. Unless Sukuna was folding these guys for the last month off screen, which I would definitely want to know, I think it's crazy that he only found 2 people from the same era who actually wanted to fight this guy, when for the last 1,000 years before that, Sukuna was just continuously fighting people over and over and over and over again.
To be fair, there are other colonies, and we know like Yuta before the Sendai deadlock did have like killed 6 players or something like that. To the amount of points he had.
Oh shit, photo number 5 was gonna fight Sukuna. Nice. If you look at like the reaction from Uro, I feel like it's perfectly understandable. Like she immediately recognizes it as like, oh shit, that's the King of Curses. I feel like it's perfectly justifiable. I feel like Ryu instantly regretted thinking that he wanted to fight him anyway. You know? Like
You can see the fear on his face.
yeah, and you can see that 3 seconds later he got melted. So, you know, it's perfectly justifiable not to want to fight a dude called the King of Curses, who is a freak with 4 arms, who can just throw fireballs at you. Like, I feel like it's perfectly justifiable to not want to fight him and just fight another dude who can also punch pretty good. I feel like that's fine.
I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, I just want to see more like versions of Kashimo fighting Sukuna, but I think a lot of the questions that we have about the Heian era and stuff like that could have definitely been answered through those other sorcerers. It's just a waste. I feel like people would have a lot less questions. They'd be a lot more fulfilled with the answers that we could have gotten. Like, just think about how much we learn about people back then from like Kashimo and Ryu, like what they thought, what they were like, blah, blah. Like, Kashimo gives us our only actual Heian era flashback, or not Heian era flashback, but the closest that we get to a Heian era flashback.
Well,
He's not even
Euros
from the Heian era.
Yeah, and he's not even
Euros-
from the Heian era.
Euros is technically the closest because she's literally there, but
He also gave us a Heian era flashback.
the one that we're getting. But even that like if more people had fought Sukuna like during when he takes over Megami, you could just do the same thing where it's just random guys that like are from that era, and you can explore elements of the Heian era through like the flashbacks and stuff from them rather than just
Why I think Kashimo
completely
should have fought
doing
him
that.
first.
But why? Maybe you could say that's why Dido and Mio should be there. Are they from the Heian era?
They're just fucking randoms, bro. Who
So
knows?
maybe they are. Maybe we could get exposition from them. But what I've gathered so far is that you all want more world building, right? That's what we want. World building isn't just like the world we live in; it's also the past. So we just want more world.
Where it makes sense.
I want to throw more sorcerers at Sukuna for him to eat them and kill them.
Well, yeah, he was eating people because that's Urame's entire purpose. Forgot about that. How do we feel? Did I mention it earlier? The character's appreciation for death.
The what?
I don't think
The lack of appreciation for death. I'll explain. So throughout the series, you know, Yuji gets put through the ringer. Everyone he fucking knows dies pretty much. It's weird to think that the series pretty much started with his granddad euthanizing himself, which is a bit grim, but you know. We see obviously Junpei, Nanami, Nobara, Todo, etc. Deaths in question marks for those, but you know. Despite them...
Wait, Junpei's coming back?
This is the point, right? Despite the fact, in the moment, it's portrayed as such a big deal for Yuji, like him going crazy against Mahito when Junpei dies, or, well, gets transfigured and then dies. Like his rage when Nanami's dies, and his sorrow when Nobara dies, in quotation marks. Their deaths are never mentioned ever again, except the most like recent, second most recent chapter where they're flashed on screen for a single page. Before then, Nobara was mentioned a single time. Todos was mentioned a single time. Nanami was only mentioned by Gojo. There's like no, like, and Yuji mentioned him during Shinjuku, but throughout the entire Culling game, Yuji doesn't even like bring up Nanami, like at all. Like character deaths who are portrayed to be such a big deal for Yuji specifically, aren't really brought up after their deaths. Do you agree?
Yeah, I disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah, I disagree. I think character appreciation in JJK is done a lot more differently than you would find with other shonen. Like, there's a big thing going around where it's like, oh, are we even gonna get like a funeral chapter for all these people, whatever, blah blah, right? And the speech that Todo gives to Yuji in Shibuya, where Yuji's like, I can't keep going, like I don't know what the hell to do, like I keep messing up, like things keep getting worse and worse and worse. And Todo is like, if you want to keep living on for these people, don't find the meaning in their death. Just continue being a sorcerer, because as long as sorcerers still exist, then they never truly die. So every second that Yuji continues to fight for like being a sorcerer, and for these people also continuing to be sorcerers, they're appreciating their deaths, because it might be meaningless in the way that they died, but they will never truly leave if they keep fighting. So they're not necessarily, there's not really a need to appreciate death because they've never actually died. That's like the whole philosophy.
Yeah, but I also don't think I agree with that to an extent, but the fact that their names aren't brought up until like 100 chapters after their death, I think is ridiculous. Like,
they're not actually like dead.
I understand
in
the philosophy of it, of like you that your memory, like you take them in, like they're a part of you, and you have to push forward so that they don't truly die. There's like a fucking Banksy quote where it's like people die twice. When you actually die, and the second time is when someone says your name for the final time, right? Very poignant quote. But the problem is, no one says the characters' fucking names after they die. The last time Nanami's name gets mentioned in Shibuya, when Yuji goes, oh, Nanami, and like the next time it's ever mentioned is when Gojo's like, oh shit, he died in Shibuya. I understand the philosophy that, yes, because of what Todo says, it's taking them with you, right? They're not really dead. But the problem is, they fucking are, and the fact I understand it, but the fact that it's never brought up, because so for example, look at Nobara, right? Nobara is brought up right just before like Gojo's released, and Yuji brings up the fear of replacing Nobara with Angel. But the problem with that is, that's the first time Nobara's been mentioned since Shibuya, and then as soon as Yuji says this, he immediately replaces Angel with replaces Nobara with Angel. I understand the internal philosophy of it, of like taking the dead along with you, but you can still appreciate their deaths at the same time while also like remembering them and not just like living on with them, right? I still feel like there's not enough, they're not harkened on enough by not just Yuji but by other characters. Like the fact that Todo's only mentioned after his quotation marks death is like by Megumi when he sees Takaba. Like he goes, oh, this dude's like as brazen as like Todo, and it's like, that's it. And Todo's not brought up again till his comeback. I think that's too much. Like it's too little. Sorry, it's too little. Like, but these are like not main characters, but main for like Yuji's narrative arc. Yet they're not mentioned by name specifically. Right?
So do you remember by the campfire with Yuta and Megumi, where they ask about Nobara and Yuji gives a look, and then he kind of just like puts his head down?
Yeah.
So a lot of people interpreted that as Yuji getting the idea that Nobara passed on. I really, honestly, in hindsight, now that Nobara is back and that, here's my interpretation for it. I think it's more of Yuji realizing, like Megumi's giving him the look, and Yuji realizes that no matter if she's dead or alive, he has to keep going. But he can never replace her, and by living and continuing to be a sorcerer, he'd never forget her and he'd move forward with her, which is why he's so bothered by somebody like Angel coming and taking her place, because Angel isn't a sorcerer. Like, in the sense of she's not a Jujutsu sorcerer is what I mean more specifically.
I mean, it can be both. Like, those, like, Yuji realizing Nobara's dead and then having the fight, it doesn't matter if Nobara is dead or not. Him continuing to live on will, like, continue Nobara as a life. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. It's just not necessarily, like, one or the other. That's definitely another interpretation draw.
Yeah.
But it's just another example of where it's like, it doesn't really matter if they passed on or not. You still have to keep moving, and as long as you keep moving, you'd appreciate them. But I get it. I guess it's just like I don't know. Do I think we're gonna get a funeral chapter? Maybe.
It just kind of annoys you that when Yuji kicks the shit out of Mahito, he's like, oh, this one's for Nanami. You don't get any of that. It's not like, like fucking future Trunks being like,
You?
this one's for future Gohan. Like, you don't get any of that.
We do get that, actually.
Does he?
Yeah, when Yuji is about to land the Black Flash on Mahito, he thinks to himself, I almost took the easy way out. I'm sorry, Nanami. And then he lands the Black Flash.
Oh shit! And then we just get 100 chapters of his name never being mentioned again. I mean, even with that, I still feel like, like Junpei's death is supposed to be this big turning point for Yuji, and he's never mentioned by name after his death. Like, besides
Right.
like Mahito making fun of him as like a puppet. Like, it feels weird to have like these moments of Yuji freaking out over someone's death, and then waiting 100 chapters for just to get like a slideshow of everyone's like portrait to show how much he cares about it, when it's not really been.
I mean, I don't think
expanded.
he has to like mention them directly to show he cares about them, because he acknowledges how much they've all affected his lives, and like in that moment he reflects on it. But it's like very clear, all these people, even though he doesn't directly mention them by name, are a constant present in his mind and something he constantly thinks about because it changes him and changes him into who he is today.
In my head, you know what I'm like hoping for? Like, it's obviously not gonna happen. Like, in my head, what I'm wanting is like, do you remember like at the end of Z when you see like everyone put their hands up? I want to see that from like heaven. Just like, yeah, take this energy, Yuji. I want that. Just for like,
Yeah.
like not clarification, but like a bit of exploratory dialogue. Just being like, it just reminds me of like Choso was better with it. Like Choso was the perfect example where he constantly harkens on his brother's deaths. Like even with the fight with Kenjaku, where he's like, after winking activates, he's like, I'll be clever like Esau and tricky like Kechizu and powerful like Yuji, or whatever the direct quote is. He keeps bringing up their deaths. And in turn, he has that same philosophy of like keeping them with him. Yuji even eats the other siblings, right? Like, he has that same kind of philosophy as Todo, yet Choso just talks about it a lot more, which I like a lot more. And Yuji just doesn't exposit that.
I'm trying to compare it to like other shows that I've watched. I feel like, for example, FMA, when what's her face died, when Nina died, that became like like a whole thing that Edward and Al carried with them throughout the entirety of the show. And I feel like for someone like Nanami or Junpei, I think it should have been more like they should have been mentioned more. Like, I agree
Hell yeah.
with. I don't need them to be mentioned like every page. There has to be some like through line, like when Yuji was beating up fucking Mahito's ass, there was like no mention of Junpei that I can remember at all.
We just get like that weird
Yeah.
puppet thing where Mahito just like makes
Yeah, but
him
that's like
hand.
Mahito in the anime too. It's not even in the mangas. No, it is in the
Yeah,
manga.
it is.
No, he doesn't
Yeah.
want to, yeah.
It is.
But yeah, like, he doesn't need to be as outlandish as Choso, because every other line of Choso is something about being a brother or his brothers. Like, it doesn't need to be that outlandish, right? But just like a brief mention of maybe Junpei or Nanami or Nobara, like once within like the 120 chapters, like after Shibuya.
I mean, he does mention Nobara once.
I mean, like, even still, like, there's still a lot more people than that, bro. Like, his grandpa and fucking Junpei and fucking he thought Todo might be dead is already mentioned. Like, the whole gimmick of like Todo.
Actually, you know what? I think he knew Todo was chilling.
Yeah, like,
Then how
I
come
still
Sukuna
don't
didn't know
know
about
why
it?
he thinks.
Then
Because I
Sukuna-
think Yuki. I'm assuming she was talking to Yuji and before Perfect Prep, like when she's talking about like her allies.
like LaRue.
They've got Toto and LaRue and all that. So I think that's her telling Yuji that like Toto's alive or whatever, and we're like taking him to safety.
Yeah, I think Yuji just
think-
thought that Toto couldn't fight anymore because he lost his like
Yeah.
hand.
Just even if it's like they're supposed to be best friends, it's still weird that they're not mentioned a single time. Like, he has all these interactions with Chozo about being a brother, and the word brother doesn't, bring something on. Like, even if the character's not dead, specifically with Todo, and he's not assumed to be dead, still not mentioning him is crazy. When you have Chozo's using the word brother in every other sentence. And that was also Toto's gimmick. Has anyone got anything else?
I have one, which is my feelings on Yuji Awakening Shrine when he did.
I just
In
wrote
my
a script
opinion-
about this, bro, so... oh, shit.
Oh.
No, yeah, you could go for it.
Oh, okay. So basically, in my opinion, I don't know if you're gonna like this opinion or not. I think Yuji should have awakened Shrine earlier. Honestly, I think the best time for him to awaken Shrine would have been in the Mahito fight.
I said you could have it there. I'm perfectly fine with the way Shrine is put in the narrative at the end with Sukuna, as long as every other ability he gained over the Shinjuku Showdown was also used earlier. So as long as he doesn't get everything all at once, if he gets everything all at once, have him awaken Shrine earlier, and then blood manipulation at another point, and symbol domain at another point, and RCT at different
Oh,
times.
the main reason why I think Yuji should have awakened Shrine is because I think Yuji awakening Shrine in the Mahito arc would have very heavily not just like served the themes of that arc, but it would have magnified every other arc as well that came after it. Like, for example, Higuruma's arc with Yuji. Yuji would be feeling that much more guilt because he has Sukuna's technique now, who he, like, Yuji's debating if he should kill, like Yuta kill him when he and Yuta actually fight.
And it just kind of works, like, thematically, like the whole theme around the soul regarding Mahito, and then that coming into play later on with, like, Shrine and stuff.
And Yuji awakening Shrine that early doesn't actually change much of the story, because Yuji wouldn't use Shrine until, like, the Sukuna fight.
He just fucks up Higuruma even harder.
He's not going to use it. What's the point of him even awakening it then?
Because it helps to play into his character a lot. I think he'd use it against Mahito at the end when he gets the entire IMU thing, but I don't think he'd use it against Higuruma. The main reason why I think Yuji should awaken Shrine when he, like, earlier is because it magnifies the Yuji being a cog thing in the Jujutsu system, where his feelings about a technique no longer matter. He is going to use that technique to be a cog and eliminate curses. And then Higuruma just getting in Yuji's mind, Shrine is your technique, and something like that, not Sukuna's.
Like a full, like, endeavor, this is my quirk kind of moment.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
I've never watched...
You've not watched My Hero? Sort it out, bro. It's kind of like two little ones. Do you like Geto's family, and where the fuck did they go? Like, did they die in Maximum Meteor? Like, do we know? Like, what the fuck happened?
Wasn't it confirmed that they died?
Yeah, it was confirmed, I think, somewhere.
Which ones? Is it literally just LaRue and Miguel?
Oh, wait. No, yeah, it's listed LaRue and Miguel, because LaRue says some, like, their names in trying to convince Miguel. Like, this is a final hurrah from them. LaRue, the goat, mentions all of them. Let me just...
Oh, yeah.
LaRue survived.
Manami, Toshihisa. Who the fuck are these, though? That's the problem. That's just the main issue, kind of, with JJK Zero, to be honest, where there's too many ideas brought up and never expanded upon, where it's very clear that the power system wasn't fully fleshed out because there's no domains. RCT is kind of a big question mark because Yuta just immediately uses it and heals people.
Gojo feels significantly weaker in JJK Zero in comparison to his canon counterpart.
I mean, I would agree with you just because of his statement about Geto taking over with Rika. Like, if he feels that weak about, like, Geto plus Rika, something is very wrong. I don't think so.
No, I'm pretty sure Geto says that the chance of me taking down Gojo is a 30% chance, and then it magnifies if we get Rika to 99%. I think Geto's talking about him and his family, by the way, not just Geto himself. By the way, that statement's wrong, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, because fucking Mimiko and Nanako, I forgot they're the goats, yeah? How naive of me.
Look, I'm just saying, Mimiko... Which one's the one with the phones, at Mimiko or Nanako? I'm just saying, Mimiko might be able to bypass Infinity by putting their phone in Gojo.
I mean, the dolls, like, hang people. We got, like, a little bit of clarification from that a while ago. Anything she does to... It's like a voodoo doll. Like, anything she does to the doll fucking, like, happens. But yeah, does anyone have any other points?
I mean, bro, that don't... Unless I could talk about Yuta.
We can... Fuck it, you know what?
Give Jaden the Yuta fucking...
Yeah, let me scoot closer to the mic for this one, bro.
Yeah, I can tell because you might have been cutting out a little bit. Get a bit closer for this, please.
Let me get a bit closer, bro. Hey, look, Yuta, I'm going to say this, bro, because honestly, when JJK ends, there's not really going to be much to say about this topic anymore. You got to bleep this out. Yuta is a fucking fraud. He sucks. That whole gimmick sucks. That whole thing was trash. I don't understand half of the shit that he did inside that body. Like, the biggest thing that I really question is, like, okay, the guy makes a blue in Kamehameha position for some reason, even though he's never seen Gojo charge up a blue like that, right? And then he's surprised when Sukuna jumps forward at him as if he's not using a blue. And then it's like, oh, well, Jaded, he didn't have enough time to really learn the body and experience the techniques. He's seen this before. He literally just got done watching this ability of blue pull people indiscriminately against Maharaga like 20 minutes ago. So he saw this 20 minutes ago, and he saw it work in Gojo's favor, unless he just wasn't watching the fight. And now he's shocked. He's like, oh my god, Sukuna really jumped at me that fast? No way. Then he makes a purple to blast away Sukuna that blows up his own domain, which is crazy. It is crazy because it's like, okay, for one, Gojo shot a red at Maguna, right? And the red, even with domain amplification, did significant damage. And you can argue that, like, oh, maybe this Sukuna is more durable than Maguna back then, blah, blah. I would argue that because of the amount of nerfs this guy has right now, he's definitely weaker than he was when he was in his Maguna form, right? And if we know that red did a significant amount of damage with domain amplification active, then I don't understand why he jumped straight to purple if he knew he couldn't control it, or if at least he had the idea that he couldn't control it, because he makes it sound like he's like, oh, the limitless is this like omnipotent technique, blah, blah. Like, he's glazing how great the limitless is and how uncontrollable the limitless is. And then he proceeds to use a purple instead of trying to use a red. And then it's like, okay, maybe Yuta wanted to be sure that he would be able to kill Sukuna, this is that, blah, blah. I just really don't think it was a calculated decision. Like everything during that little interaction is just so bad. I think that entire fight is like probably one of the worst fights in the entire series, hands down. His endgame narrative fulfillment by making that decision is so meaningless. Nothing about what Yuta did to Sukuna during that entire fight plays any role in what's happening with him and Yuji right now. Like nothing. It's not like, at least Maki, she didn't do a lot to Sukuna, but she cut off his arms. And that's probably the most game-changing thing that's happened to Sukuna since his output started dropping to begin with. There's one thing that I kind of take back that I argued before was like, oh, well, Yuta didn't get what he deserved because he became a monster, this is that. Yuta was definitely doing what he was doing for other people and not really himself. And then it's like, okay, so Yuta definitely didn't deserve to be as strong as he should have been as somebody who kind of like takes part of that mindset and reaps the benefits from it. But it's like, at what point do we have this character who's hyped up to lose himself and all that foreshadowing that we get at the end of Sendai Colony, that he's gonna have to become a calamity, this is that he tries to become a calamity and just does it wrong. If anything, that's more upsetting. You have this character who's been asking different people about, oh, what about humanity, this is that, what in relation to that matters in being a sorcerer, and he goes and makes his best attempt at it to say, I'm going to become the next monster, this is that, blah, blah, when he really didn't get the idea of being a monster to begin with. It's the most, like, disappointing, anticlimactic, like, endgame thing. I've never seen anything like that. It's definitely not like the 8 Gates guy equivalent to, like, JJK. It definitely isn't. I felt personally like that's what they were trying to go for, like, one character with, like, making his best move in a short period of time to damage the antagonist. At least Guy did something. I don't know, man. Yuta's just so disappointing.
Did Guy really do anything though?
Genuine fucking anger.
Damn.
You're not gonna bring back my goat and have him look like that, bro. Those sorry ass eyes, bro. Get out of here, bro.
Bro, the eyes are green. What do you mean?
Look,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
apparently his
saying,
eyes are green, bro.
Look, I'm just saying, if you just decided not to give Sukuna back his domain in that chapter, you could literally remove everything Yuta did, and nothing would change. All Yuta did is set the fight back to how it was a chapter before when Yuji was and Todo were fighting him.
Sukuna needs that layer of skin the purple took off, though, bro. You don't understand. Like, it burnt like a...
He heals it back. He heals it back.
yeah, but that took up... So you don't know how much...
all of his RCT.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. You can make an argument. It actually might have been like worse for like Yuta might have made things worse because now they no longer had Yuji in there to nerf his output. So Sukuna had time to recover a bit more of his output.
You know what should have happened? Todo and Yuji should have been in the domain holding hands, and then they like join together and beat Sukuna. Because if they don't let go, they just get hit by Infinite Void.
I mean, I'm just saying Yuta already knows how to force target his domain to only target one person. So it wouldn't surprise me if he could figure out how to do that with Gojo's domain.
That's kind of what I was expecting. They were like in a 3v1 jump him.
That's what I was expecting too.
What if?
Want to know something crazier?
Okay, you go.
Go on.
All right, let me tell you something crazier. Yuta goes inside his domain, right? He lands the thin icebreaker, whatever, on Sukuna, and Sukuna's bleeding from his forehead, right? Okay, that's cool and everything. He goes in there, shoots a purple, and his body is just charred, right? And it's like, okay, you can argue that, to me, honestly, I'm not saying they did a similar amount of damage, but I'm saying that Yuta was still effective in his own body. Jumping into Gojo's body and thinking that it would be more effective is a cool idea. It's definitely a cool hypothesis that they have, and it was definitely a good strategy. But the way it's executed, it's like, bro might as well stayed in his own body, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He was already...
Yo, Jay, do you want me to make this worse?
What?
Want to make this worse? The Sukuna that Gojo fights in Yuta's body should be weaker because it had taken several black flashes from Yuji.
Oh, Lord.
Have fun with that.
That's true. That's true, too. Bro, this is the most disappointing thing I've ever seen.
What if...
I'm gonna go read One Piece.
What if... what if this, like, Yuta narrative, right, is just, like, this hyper, subversive narrative on self-sacrifice? The reason the narrative falls flat and is dog shit around, like, Yuta's narrative arc is because it's Gege's commentary on self-sacrifice.
It's, if anything, it's don't self-sacrifice. Don't do what this guy did. Don't be like this, bro. That's the overall message. If you want to find the quickest way, bro, quickest method to jump from special grade to looking like you're a grade 5 against Sukuna, bro, 100% do what this guy did, bro. Make a blue that's basically as close to your body as possible, even though blue is an attack that pulls indiscriminately towards your enemy. Bro, I can't.
It's
I
funny because that artwork also looks dog shit. Like it's like Gojo with like the fucked up eyes. Just,
Hell no.
I love that panel you're talking about, where it's like Yuta and Gojo's body like trying to pull him in, because it looks so fucking crusty.
This guy was having wingspan problems, bro. They said his arms are too long.
Yeah, yeah,
It
forgot
might
about
be
that.
a little hard for you to control it, bro.
Oh shit, Gojo's arms are too long. Guess I'll fucking die.
What type of problem is that, bro? His arms are too long? Like, his
How
arms
is that
are
a
too long,
problem?
bro.
That would help you, if anything. What?
Oh my god.
I just don't understand, bro. He can, no, listen to this, right? He can fight in tandem, commanding this giant cursed Shikigami or whatever the fuck Rika is, right? And he has no problem with that, even though they share vision, okay? But using those limbs is apparently harder than controlling Rika. Like, I get he has more practice. Well, no, he doesn't even have more practice with Rika. By the time they fight Geto, that's like what, their third manifestation, and it's the only time they're ever really working together. It's like you're telling me you had an easier time controlling Rika than having limbs that are a little bit extra long. Get out of here, bro.
Shit, bro.
The guy jumps from being like 5'8" to 6'2". He's not jumping from being 5'8" to 10'12", bro. I don't believe this.
His arms are too... Bro, you just don't get it. Imagine, like, walking with stilts. No, let me put it like this. Imagine, you know, like those grabby things to, like people in wheelchairs use to, like, grab shit in the distance. Imagine trying to perform life with them. That's what it's like. It's not just 2 extra limbs, extra inches on your arms. You don't get it. You don't understand.
Bro, he's jumping from being 5'8" to 6'2". I don't understand. He's not going from being like Ariana Grande to Shaquille O'Neal. Like, this is not like bro's acting like he pulled up in like Wembanyama's body, bro. I don't understand.
Bro, he's went from his own body to his own body with, like, lift shoes. And it's too much, bro.
It makes it even worse when you remember that Yuta switch trained in Gojo's body.
Oh, he's trained with it a bunch, yeah.
I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
Like, the most passionate throughout this, like, entire hour and a half is just you shitting on Yuta.
I just hate it so much, bro. I was so happy. I was like, damn, they're actually gonna bring back Gojo. Gege's gonna save the series. My views are gonna go back up. Boom, bro. No, hell no.
Nah, it's just you don't
Gojo's
understand.
gone.
It's a postmodern take on the TV trope of self-sacrifice. You don't understand. It's fine. You don't understand Yuta's epic narrative and how it's purposefully dog shit. You just don't understand. It's too deep.
No, but we have Nobara, right? And let me talk about Nobara first. We got Nobara, okay? Who they're like, oh, you might be enough to be grade, and she's like, oh, not special grade. You might be enough to be grade 1. They're like, oh, okay. Then she goes and sees Nanami, and she's like, damn, this is what a grade 1 is. Oh my god, I don't even compare it to whatever this is. He's on some crazy shit. I can't compete with that. And she's the one that lands the Zetsu type punch on Sukuna. the stab in the back, bro. Get out of here, bro. I would take
Nobara's
Zetsu
the
and Madara
black
over that.
Zetsu of. I cannot think of this. Oh my gosh!
I've never had that fucking comparison in my life, but that shit's funny as fuck. The show shouldn't be called JJK. It's just fucking Nobara Kaisen, bro. What do you mean? I mean,
I'm still convinced the main reason why Gege did the entire Yuta Gojo thing. It's not even for a narrative reason. I think Gege is just spiteful for the Gojo fans, and he wanted to debunk any hope they had. It didn't work, but that was what he wanted to do.
I mean, I do get to what you were talking about earlier, the comparisons to My Guy, because they do kind of feel similar in a way. Yes, Yuta didn't really do anything in Gojo's body, but it fell flat narratively in a similar way, where it kind of resulted in nothing. Like, Madara pretty much heals quickly afterwards, and after that, the sacrifice means nothing, because Naruto then just immediately heals My Guy. Like, it does nothing. Like, if it still feels, like, flaccid. I use that word a lot, but it feels that way, like it was just supposed to be this huge moment of self-sacrifice, and then in the end it either doesn't end up being a sacrifice, or the sacrifice wasn't even worth it in the first place. Like, I get that. It's an apt comparison to make. They're just slightly different. So anyone got anything else to discuss besides Yuta?
We could discuss Nobara's return, because we talked about that a little bit with Toto's return. So...
Okay. Let me just, like, stop the recording, because it has been an hour and a half. And this is just like a podcast at this point, but fuck it, go ahead.
It is.
Exactly.
I'm now.
That's what I'm saying, the JJK round table, bro. I could do this.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, I'm okay with Nobara coming back. I always accepted there was potential things Nobara could come back. I despise the fact that she came back when there was 30 minutes, like she woke up 30 minutes ago, because she just sensed the plot needed her for some reason, and decided, hey, I'm going to be one of the people to land the final hit on Sukuna. When they could have just instead had this be like, I'm gonna be real. Everything Nobara did, because Nobara, all she did with that hit was hold Sukuna still, so you could land a Black Flash. You could have just had Megumi make more puddles. You didn't need to have Nobara do that.
Yeah, I just realized they're inside the domain, so she has no idea when to actually do it.
Did you just hear that Sukuna was still alive and be like, all right, smack the hammer. Maybe this might help somebody. Who knows?
It feels the same way with like Inumaki's fucking like voice recording, where he's just stood over a grate waiting to spit up blood because he doesn't know when the fuck Yuta's gonna use the voice recording. It feels exactly like that.
Yeah.
Like it just happens. Like I'm fine with her coming back. I mean, her death was fucking morbid. Well, death, yeah, again in quotations, but like it's fine if she comes back. As I say, I said my piece about character deaths before, but you know, her coming back doesn't exactly feel like it goes against anything. Her design just feels like ripped straight from fan art and fan leaks. It feels like when Gege decided to bring Nobara back, like he was keeping up with the fandom, and this is just kind of like not like necessarily a love letter to that, but just kind of like a response. So I'm fine
My
with
problem
it.
was just how she came back, not even that she came back. I'm cool with her coming back. It's just how. He's so stupid.
That she just like looked at the domain and went, nah, give it 5 more minutes. Like doesn't hit it when they're just walking through Yuji's backstory. Don't hit the
Look,
finger
all
yet.
I'm saying is if Gojo arrived 5 minutes earlier, Nobara might be dead. Or like Gojo arrived to battle Sukuna 5 minutes earlier, everyone might be dead right now.
She could have saved Higuruma. She could have saved Chozo. She could have like, bruh. How do you two feel about it?
It's cool because like you know it reminds me when fucking Avdol came back
Oh.
from JoJo's.
Yeah.
It's cool. I enjoyed it. Does it make sense? No. Did we miss out on anything if it didn't happen? No. So I don't know. It's just whatever. Doesn't really take me out, but I'm not a fan.
This is the part that gets me the most upset.
No damn.
It started really with Maki running into the domain and stabbing Sukuna in the chest, because that was the thing where everybody was like, hey, Maki's gonna do exactly what she did to Naoya. And then people were like, oh, Maki did exactly what we thought she was gonna do. And then it's like, you know, the final arc, I want to see my characters do things that I didn't think that they were actually gonna do, because I really enjoy that, right? That keeps me entertained. Like, I don't want a predictable story. Nobara did exactly what everybody thought that she would do. She hit resonance on the final finger. It wasn't any different. It was just incredibly disappointing in that way to me.
Like those fan theories are coming out since like Gojo was fighting Sukuna. Like people were expecting that shit for months. Like actually a year, since it's been like 11 months since Gojo died, I think. Like people have been predicting Nobara coming back and hitting the final finger for like a full year at this point. So like I understand the lack of appeal of her just doing what everyone thought she was gonna do. I get that. Is there anyone out there who's like a huge Nobara fan though? She's just kind of whatever to me.
My guy, have you seen how like determined and strong-willed the Nobara fandom was that Nobara would come back? I'm sorry, they gave the Gojo fandom a run for their money in terms of strong will.
I'll tell you, I don't know this, bro. I'm in the Kusakabe club. It's just me, bro. I don't keep up with the other fandoms, bro. I'm in the Kusakabe club.
Yeah, I know, but Nobara fandom is those creatures. They're insane.
Believers, bro. Believers.
I call them what I see. I call them what they are. They know what they are.
They believe a character who's not dead is gonna come back. Fucking animals. Jesus.
It's how passionate they are about it, and how passionate they were about it for like the longest time. They never gave up hope.
Dude, I was a doubter, I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, I was a
Same.
doubter. Yeah.
That's also probably the other reason why I'm so salty, but that's beside the point.
Gege prove you wrong. Fucking bitch!
How dare he has the audacity to prove me wrong after I predicted some other stuff? How dare he?
Do you know what's funny? Like, just like the chapter before Nobara come out, I was looking through all like the video concepts I had. Like, I don't know if you do the same, but if you have like, you'll just like write a title and think, maybe I'll come back to that, right? And I was looking at some of the old titles I'd made, and I made the title for one of my videos was "Why the Nobara Theories Are Pointless," which
Good thing you didn't make that
that's
video.
what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like the opposite of what I like assume always comes true. Make a video on Miguel because I don't want to become outdated. Miguel comes back and the video's immediately outdated. Like,
Yep.
bruh, I'm scared to make another fucking Kusakabe video because he'll show up to die or some shit. You know what I mean?
Wait till JJK is over. You have 3 more chapters you can wait.
True. That's so stupid.
Skege just suddenly makes an extra chapter that has 1 page to kill Kusakabe.
From what? Fucking heart disease. Like, there'll be nothing left,
Yes.
bro.
A random fly lands on his head and kills him.
Oh shit. Flyhead's fucking Kusakabe level? That's crazy, dude. So, do you just want to fucking outro or some shit? I don't know.
Outros are so outdated.
What the fuck
Yeah,
does
I
that
don't do
even?
outros.
What the fuck does that even mean?
You really shouldn't do outros.
My guy, you're just old.
I didn't.
Yeah, Josh, you're a bit of an old.
You're
head.
older
I think
than
you're-
me, bro. Shut the fuck
You're
up.
You're the oldest one here, honestly.
You're older than me. Shut the fuck up. Oh, fucking hell.
Okay, boomer.
I'm sick of being called unk, boomer. I'm sick of this shit.
All right, Unk.
I'm sick of this bullying, right? Fuck it. Thank you all for participating. It's appreciated. Since this was like an hour and a half, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with it. I might have someone draw a thumbnail for some, I don't know. But yeah, thank you, Flame, Jaded, and Orion. If this does well, might do it again, to be honest. Because it just feels like a fucking podcast. So that was what we hate about Jujutsu Kaisen. That pretty much just ended up being a podcast that I couldn't be bothered to edit visuals for about 6 months. And as you could probably tell, given how heavily we discussed topics like the merger and the possible ending for JJK, this was all recorded all the way back in September. So this video kind of acts as a bit of a time capsule for what the fandom, or at least what we as parts of the fandom, were thinking about regarding Jujutsu Kaisen's ending and it just ending so suddenly. But before I end this video, of course, thank you to Eternal Flame, Orion and Jaded, and sorry to them for taking so long to release this video. Of course, their channels will be in the description below. But as I always say, toodles my doodles, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.